morning, and we're going to start slow, a little like Tina Turner, and then we'll pick it up. Okay, is that all right? Nobody like Tina Turner. Mr. Clerk, we're going to go a little backwards here. We're going to start with the Department of Aging. So we'll start with item 7, I believe.
Okay. Item number 7 is the Los Angeles Department of Aging report relative to acceptance of additional 2010-2011 grant funds from the California Department of Aging and approval of amendments to various service provider agreements.
Good morning, James Don, Department of Aging. This is a routine request to amend 2 of our programs. We're receiving an additional $115,471 to our Ombudsman program. This program provides Ombudsman services to protect the rights of seniors in nursing homes.
Good. How much is the grant for?
The increase is for $115,471. The total grant will be $502,583.
Great, James. All right, that's very important. Do you know how many senior citizen facilities, care facilities we have in the city?
You mean in terms of nursing homes?
Yeah.
I think it's over 100. I think between 100 and 145. I forgot.
Yeah, but you got to get the exact number the next time you come to committee.
I will.
Okay. Thank you, James. We'll move this forward.
Thank you.
Thank you. The fire department may have that number through a statistic that they have of nursing homes. So you could check probably easy.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Next item, 8.
Item number 8 is a Department of Aging report relative to various actions related to the Senior Community Service Employment Program budget and standard agreement with the State of California's Department of Aging.
This is a request to accept $122,988 to our senior training program. It also includes technical adjustments to an existing grant for the Appropriation Act, which supplements that training program. There is a technical change, and there is no additional money involved.
And describe what this does.
Sure.
Practically.
The senior training program provides older adults from the age 55 and up the opportunity to learn new job skills so that they either retool or re-enter the job market for the very first time. It provides a stipend for them that covers their cost of training. A lot of seniors have issues in terms of overcoming myths about whether or not they make good workers. Actually, they are very good. Their attendance is actually better than average. And we have currently 335 enrollees in our program.
Very good. All right, recommend approval.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, James. Let's just do on number 5. We're going to continue number 5. And just on that, Madam City Attorney, you used the word pornography in the motion there, but what if it was like a rating, like if we copied, NC-17 or whatever? Would that help you at all? Look at that in the case here, because I don't want to be attacked by the First Amendment people, but I do believe in our public libraries, unless it's, because I've been in public libraries, you walk by screens and you see things that you may only see at an NC-17 meeting. So, yeah, that's number 5 will be continued. Oh, good. Oh, you're so good. I forgot number 6, James.
Oh, thank you.
All right, we're going to go with, the clerk's going to call it. So 5 we're going to continue, and if Madam City Attorney, if you just check on that, if it makes sense as we go forward.
Item number 6 is a Los Angeles Department of Aging report relative to amending contracts for various adult daycare programs.
This request by the Department of Aging to amend 3 of our contracts to provide additional services. This actually helps restore our services in the North Side and the West Wilshire areas with Assistance League and Jewish Family Services. It also provides additional funds to our partners in Care Foundation.
How much money is this, James?
It involves $222,686 of general city purpose funds. It's already budgeted, so there's no additional impact to the city. And it also involves $130,498 of block grant funds in the current con plan.
Thank you very much. Recommend approval.
Thank you, sir.
6, we continue. Let's go to number 4.
5 was continued.
Oh, 5 was continued. I'm sorry. Thank you, Madam City Attorney. I was testing you. Didn't have my glasses on. Sorry.
Item number 4 is a item that is the Department of Cultural Affairs report relative to accepting a grant in the amount of $17,050 from the National Endowment for the Arts for the Big Read program for the period of December 1st, 2010 through June 30th, 2011. This item is also scheduled for council on Friday, March 25th.
Good morning.
Good morning. Andrew Kasdan, City of Los Angeles, Department of Cultural Affairs. We're requesting permission to accept a grant award from the National Endowment for the Arts to program the Big Read and appropriate funding to BCA. The Big Read is an initiative of the National Endowment for the Arts designed to restore reading to the center of American culture. This is actually the 3rd consecutive year that DCA is receiving funds from the NEA to program the Big Read. And in fact, this Friday, March 25th, the full City Council will proclaim April as Literacy Month and the Big Read Month in Los Angeles through a motion put forth by Councilmember Labange. Thank you.
What kind of relationship we work with the library department?
Yes, in fact, we partner with the library department on the grant application. We have reading groups at 15 branch libraries throughout the city, as well as the Central Library downtown. And we also partner with a number of LAUSD schools and community groups in various districts.
Great. Okay, recommend approval for council. Thank you very much. Item number 3.
Item number 3 is a Department of Recreation and Parks report relative to notification of grant awards from the Proposition 84 Statewide Park Grant Program.
Good morning. Susan Huntley, Recreation and Parks. Today's report is a response back to council on the results of the Prop 84 grant application process that took place in 2010. We're here to report that of the 33 applications that council approved for submittal and or partnerships with nonprofits, a total of 33 applications were submitted and we received a total of 13. 7 of those were for the CRA, 3 were for the Trust for Public Land, and 3 projects were awarded to the Los Angeles Neighborhood Initiative. The partnership agreements that the council approved at the time of application was with the understanding that when the nonprofits and CRA, if they were awarded and the projects were completed, that Recreation and Parks would take over operation and maintenance once those projects were completed. And we're estimating that the cost of that is going to be approximately $700,000 annually.
Yeah. So on this issue here, these are the 13 that have been
Yeah.
selected? Well, that's all that we got?
Yes.
Okay, and, because out of this here, I don't see any districts in the valley. Do you know why?
No, I couldn't answer that.
Yeah. Because I think that will be a question once it gets to full council. I mean, I'm all for the other districts, but there's nothing from the valley, so I think want to make sure that we're trying to get that. Is there another opportunity to apply for this, or is this our one-time application?
There is a round 2 for applications that are due July 1st, and we're looking into what we might do with those applications.
Great. So the grant we're getting from this act is approximately $39 million?
We're getting, CRA has $29 million. Lonnie has a little under $2 million, and
But from the amount award, do you have the same report I have?
that one I'm not familiar with.
Okay. Voters passed the $5.4 billion Safe Water Quality Supply Flood Control River Coastal Protection Bond Act. So I just want to make sure I have the same report.
I probably need to look at that. I'm not sure what.
Okay, good, yeah.
No. Yes, these look like the 13 that were awarded. It's just in a different format than what I have.
Right, but in the Rec and Parks report, there's more than 13, in the Rec and Parks Board report. Which, do you have the board report?
I do. What we reported to our board was the 33 that we applied for, and then there was a column that indicated of the 33 which ones were awarded.
Got
And
it.
it appears that the 13 on the sheet you gave me are the ones that were awarded.
Okay, all right, so we'll look at that. Between, when's this coming to council, do you know?
I'm sorry?
You know when it's coming to council?
Should be from here, I would imagine.
Councilmember, I can go ahead and work with the department and your office to schedule this for council on a day that you determine.
Great. Okay, good. All right, that'd be good. All right, so if I have more questions, we'll answer there, okay?
Okay.
Thank you very much.
And for the record, is this item approved, Councilmember?
Approved, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, to our nominee for the commission, I'm stalling, and to the police department, I'm stalling, because my colleague, Mr. Weston, is coming upstairs, but you could come right now, Ms. Alvarez.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good morning, Mr. Labange.
Oh.
Good to see you. How you doing?
Item number 2 is a communication from the mayor relative to the appointment of Ms. Lynn Alvarez to the Board of Recreation and Parks Commissioners for the term ending June 30th, 2012, to fill the vacancy created by Mr. Luis Sanchez, who has resigned from the commission. This item is also scheduled for council today, immediately after this committee meeting.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And as we say good morning, I'm joined by the great councilman of the 10th District, who, Mr. Herb Weston is here. Mr. Weston, we took some items that I know you would feel strong about, but I saved the best for last. So we have a nominee for Mr. Villaraigosa of Lynn Alvarez for the Recreation and Parks Board of Commissioners, and she just sat at the center table. And this is Mr. Weston, so if you could just give us a little about your passion for parks and how you see the role that you could play in contributing to the welfare of the park system of Los Angeles.
Good morning, Councilmember Labange and Councilmember Wesson. Thank you very much for inviting me this morning. I have been a resident of Los Angeles since 1984. I feel very passionately about this city and about the role that parks can have in a safer and greener Los Angeles. I have spent my career since 1984 in Los Angeles working in communities throughout this city, working with immigrant communities and youth and foster youth and health-related work. And I feel that parks are really a vital part of the city and the fabric of the city. And I look forward to using the skills I have as a lawyer and the skills I have working with nonprofits and philanthropies in town to work on the difficult issues I see before the park and minimizing the impact on services that our drastic budget cuts are invariably going to have.
Any questions, Mr. Weston? Good. Well, I had a chance to visit with Ms. Alvarez, and I appreciate your passion. I think you'll add a dimension to the commission. It's a very good commission. Mr. Sanders is the president. They're proactive. So look forward to your appointment this morning after the council considers it and votes for it. So with Mr. Weston's support, we recommend it.
Thumbs up. 2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
You got it. Thank you.
See you soon.
You got it. You got it. We'll see you this morning. Mr. Clerk, would you, on all the other items, Mr. Weston, I know
I'm fine.
you're fine, so could we call those so we could get a majority vote?
Sure. Item number 1 is a Board of Police
which
Commissioners.
we're going to do in a minute, but all the ones we just considered,
Oh, I'm sorry.
you know, the ones that, as Mr. West had arrived, he's been briefed, and he's forward, and then we'll hear the report from the police department.
In fact, Mr. Chair, we could probably, if the city attorney allows, just take them all up, and I can one vote on all of them.
Got it.
If that-
So is that allowable? Mr. Weston has reviewed the agenda and the matters that I took up, like Tina Turner, slowly, and now we're going faster. So if our clerk could just reconsider those items for vote?
Oh,
The record clearly reflects what their action is with respect to each item.
okay. Item number 8 was a Department of Aging report relative to various actions related to the Senior Community Service Employment Program budget and standard agreement with the State of California Department of Aging.
Good. So moved.
Item number 7 was a Los Angeles Department of Aging report relative to acceptance of additional 2010-2011 grant funds from the California Department of Aging and approval of amendments to various service provider agreements.
So moved.
We moved on to item number 6, which was a Los Angeles Department of Aging report relative to amending contracts for various adult daycare programs.
So moved.
Item number 5 regarding a motion, Reyes-Perry, relative to legal options to address the viewing of pornography on public computers at
That's
the city.
continued.
Okay. And item number 4 was the Department of Cultural Affairs report relative to accepting a grant in the amount of $17,050 from the National Endowment for the Arts for the Big Read program for the period of December 1st, 2010 through June 30th, 2011.
So moved.
And item number 3 was a Department of Recreation and Parks report relative to notification of grant awards from the Proposition 84 Statewide Park Grant Program.
So moved.
And we already have a vote on item number 2, which was the communication from the mayor relative to the appointment of Ms. Lynn Alvarez to the Board of Recreation and Parks Commissioners.
Great, thank you very much, Mr. Clerk. Mr. Weston, thank you. So moved on all those items. Now we'll call item number 1.
Item number 1 is a Board of Police Commissioners and Emergency Management Department report relative to earthquake preparedness in the city of Los Angeles pursuant to motion LaBonge Smith. This item was considered by the Public Safety Committee on September 13th, 2010, which recommended to note and file both reports.
Anna.
Good morning. Anna Burton with the city's Emergency Management Department. Our department continues to work very closely with the large operational departments as well as all the other departments that support the general preparedness, response, and recovery efforts within the city. Our focuses have been on planning. One of the mentions in our report is the local hazard mitigation plan. We just recently updated this plan, which allows the city to apply for hazard mitigation funds, and that will be actually be forwarded to City Council by the end of this week. We continue to use our Emergency Operations Center. We've exercised it on several occasions in 2010. We activated it formally for an official event in 2011 for the December and January winter storms, and most recently for the earthquake in Japan, the resulting tsunami, and the impacts we've seen from possible radiation impacts in the area. Working very closely with the LA County Department of Public Health, who is the lead agency, ensuring that we have accurate information and disseminating it and posting it as appropriate. We've been working with our website to make our current Ready LA website ADA accessible so that persons interested in getting more information on current events as well as preparedness information can access that information as appropriate. We also use Facebook and Twitter to share information. We have a growing number of followers related to tracking how we're posting and sharing information, and we'll continue to expand and use that and also identify new technology as that becomes available to ensure we can send the information out, post and release as needed. Specific to earthquakes, we've participated in the 2009, 2010, and we're planning now for the 2011 shakeout. This is the broad statewide exercise specific to earthquakes 2009 and 2010 were very effective, using an 8.0 earthquake on the southernmost San Andreas Fault, which would certainly result in devastating impacts. We worked very closely with Lucy Jones's office from USGS, using their scientific data to evaluate what the impacts on Los Angeles would be. For community outreach and liaison, the Emergency Management Department has a Community Emergency Management Division. We have an assigned emergency coordinator that works very closely with the geographic areas in the city that are actually the same as the Los Angeles Police Department bureaus. They are outreaching to the private and nonprofit agencies, as well as neighborhood councils, to provide that direct liaison to support exercises, planning efforts, to make sure the members in that community have a voice. This also includes a large number of faith-based organizations, so that we have direct outreach in that. We will be expanding that to ensure that we have direct outreach and contact with all the community and service organizations that provide any kind of services to those with disabilities or access and functional needs, to ensure we comply with federal and state law.
Very good. And Mr. Featherstone just joined right now. Lieutenant, I know don't recall your name. I apologize.
That's okay, sir. Lieutenant Maria Acosta. I'm the officer in charge of the Emergency Management Section out of Emergency Operations Division. Would you like me to go ahead and speak on the department's report?
Sure.
Thank you, sir. To follow up with what Anna just spoke about, as far as the department specifically, our earthquake preparedness does fall into basically two types of categories. One is the preparedness phase, and one has to do with training and exercises. As far as preparedness, it's very heavy involved with the writing of plans and the updating of plans. And with all of those plans, we work very closely with our partners at the Emergency Management Department on those plans. The first plan would be the department's emergency plan, and that is submitted annually to the Emergency Management Department. We just again updated it, even though this report is a year old in front of you. Again, it's the same information each, this is still timely, sir. We just submitted the Department Emergency Plan updates. The second level of plans relate to more division-specific standing plans. Each of those divisions have plans that are specific to their areas, related to critical sites, fallback sites in terms of if a facility becomes unusable and such, and how to respond in a variety of situations. We also have the department's Emergency Operations Guide, which again is a tactical level guide that consists of policy and procedures related to the Department Operations Center and how we'll operate. It has a Supervisor's Field Operation Guide, which is a very specific hazard by hazard checklist. We have a crowd management piece, field jail guidance and such, and the like. We also are involved with drills, training, and exercises, because plans are no good unless you drill and train to them. Our training and exercise program, again, we work very closely with the Emergency Management Department in this, in terms of the Incident Command System training, which in terms of being prepared as a department in a city to respond to whether it's an earthquake, pick your disaster or your hazard, whether it's man-made or natural, we do use the Incident Command System, and we train together for it. That would be the intermediate and advanced courses that we speak about. Mr. Featherstone may want to speak about the management level courses that he was able to obtain funding for, that he can send basically our city managers to a management level incident command training course, which is a very good course and very beneficial in terms of training together to respond to hazards.
Right. Do you know what our current plan is as far as any report to council? Is there any other, I know this predates Japan, but was there any action post-Japan that will call for you to report to council at all? Because I'm going to ask you, I don't want you to, but I want to ask, we're going to forward this to council to give a brief report. I'm going to check with the president of the city council so we coordinate it, also the chair of public safety committee. One thing I did, in the disaster workers, et cetera, with the reduction in city forces, because one of the things that was so interesting after 1994 is how many people stayed in the public parks for weeks, if not months. And education is so important on everything, and there's a lot of education that needs to be done in this. With our reduction in staffing of the Parks Department, have we taken into consideration that aspect and how we're going to deal with it, and other impacts within the city's restructuring due to this very severe economic climate as it affects you?
Sir, what I can tell you is that actually today is the first official meeting of the mass evacuation plan development. Actually, my sergeant who's in charge of the emergency preparedness unit is actually there. That meeting, I believe, has started already. So as far as a mass evacuation, of which, of course, mass care and shelter is a critical part, we can't do it, we can't do that without having, the shelter responsibility that Rec and Parks has.
Right.
So that mass evacuation planning actually officially has just begun today, I believe.
To review it, I'm sure, from the past, but I think we should look at that. Jim, you want to add something there?
Yes, sir. Good morning, gentlemen. Lieutenant Acosta's right. We are actually in the process of surveying all 200-plus recreation centers. You actually have to pass it's about a 36-page DOJ checklist because all the rec centers in the city are tentatively designated as shelters. So we're looking to make sure they have provisions for access and functional needs persons that come to the sites. What sites can accommodate people with animals? What sites can accommodate people only? We're looking at all those things. We also work with LA Unified School District in terms of designating shelter areas. But there's a whole component there. We have evacuation, we have mass care and shelter, and then we have repopulation and recovery. All those things are on the continuum post-disaster.
With the economic disaster, if I could use that term, that the country's facing that's affecting government levels, we're reducing our staffing. Have we looked at that aspect in any way, shape, and form as we go forward? Because of Recreation and Parks, I think, has lost 1,000 employees or more. So that's just one area I wanted to look on. Also on the issue, within an hour here is San Onofre, within 4.5 hours is Diablo Canyon. What impact is that in your thinking reflecting in any form, shape, or matter?
Well, if you're talking about a radiological incident, the authority having jurisdiction for the city in terms of public health is LA County Public Health. We work with them in...
I got that, but if something happens, like if there's an earthquake at Camp Pendleton, let's say the center's at Oceanside, it would affect San Onofre, depending which way the wind blows. Even how far away Japan was, there was a little fear and some fraudulent activity I saw from one of the investigative reporters that people were selling iodine on the street, and be aware. What are you prepared to do?
Well, we have a public health planner paid for by CDC and LA County Public Health who's been embedded in our department for 3 years.
Okay.
He stays up on top of public health issues. We have a radiological event. We'd have firsthand information. Plus, our relationship with LA County Public Health couldn't be better. We should probably have. They essentially are our public health department.
I got that. I remember when we had our health department. I got stitched up for our health department. Hollywood Receiving, Central Receiving. Never went to Georgia Street. They used to have hospitals all over. Anyway, that being said, I just think we should brush up our Shakespeare, as they used to say, on those issues. And I'll check back with you all and check with our president so there could be a time where the council could get briefed, updated on these issues related to Los Angeles and preparedness, because this motion came out of a program that I saw on television that we are very prepared and one of the most prepared cities in the world, but we are at risk that we're waiting for an earthquake.
We are the largest big city in the country that has a significant seismic risk.
Right.
So, and we
more than San Francisco, because they had a little
they don't have the population or the critical infrastructure that we have.
Right. So, Lieutenant, that'd be good. Okay.
But, Mr. Chair, I just want to, going back to your point, I had forgotten, but I remember I was Chief of Staff for Supervisor Burke, and we got in a helicopter, took a tour, and I cannot remember the name of the park, but it was in the valley, and it became an encampment.
Right.
And, I mean, for the longest
Right.
time, and I would share your concern about us being maybe understaffed. So I do think that we need to ask ourselves, we don't have the resources today that we had at that point in time. And I remember that there was a significant police presence, and I do remember a Rec and Park presence.
Should be Reseda Park or Atlantic Park, way out there.
It was a big park, and it was like an encampment.
Right, right. And we forget, that. a little bit, because it's been so
I've
long
forgotten
ago.
all about it
Yeah,
till you mentioned it.
Right.
In fact, in the last 6 months, we initiated a formal MOU with Red Cross.
Right.
And we've spent a considerable amount of grant money on shelter supplies. But you're right, the challenge for us is actual bodies. The human capital that we have to step to the front in a catastrophe is significantly less than what we had in '94.
I have one other question, because
Sure.
now it's all coming back, and this will be my last question. You spoke earlier about outreach. If I remember correctly, the majority of the individuals that were in these encampments were Latinos. So have we had significant, I think since the big Mexico City quake, and I can remember the one, which was the one that we had before Northridge? Because we were at City Hall then, it was...
Northridge, Whittier had a little one, and then before
Was it
that,
Whittier?
Stillmore.
But no, was it Whittier?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I remember people basically being camped out in the streets. So what kind of outreach do we have to ethnic immigrant communities, rather?
Non-English speaking.
We actually have a significant amount of literature. Our messaging over time goes out in Spanish, English, and Korean. I'll be very honest with you. Putting our messaging material in the 7 ballot languages is a challenge.
I know.
And we continually work at that because the diversity of the population here in the city. But the probably 90% of all of our messaging goes out in Spanish, English, and Korean. And the community outreach and the crisis messaging piece is something we have to work on daily, and we do. Whether it's through the social media that Ms. Burton spoke about, or hard copy stuff, or our 800 number, all that stuff goes out in at least those 3 languages.
Well, you know what might not be a bad idea, to partner with some of the organizations that service those communities, that do whatever kind of servicing, where you would partner with them or meet with them so that they could take your information and have it actually discussed. It's better, I think, than brochures or flyers or phone numbers. If you were to, again, connect with 2 or 3 of the large organizations and let them help you explain that.
Well, Mr. West, I think we could help them with the consulate, of all these consulates that may have an impact, which I don't know if you've done that with the consulates, because they're very active, and they also learn from us and go back and forth. So let us help you on this.
We actually have we're going to host a meeting of the Council Corps. I'm not sure what the date is, but we've been working with Olga to actually set up a meeting to actually use the Council Corps as a network.
Wonderful.
To get information.
You know who the president of the Sister City program is for Los Angeles?
Would it be you, sir?
It is. So I could help you too. So that's
In
all
fact,
right.
this will be our second formal training of the consular corps.
That's very good. We'll want to help a lot, because I work with them and Mr. Weston as well. I remember when the 4th District came all the way downtown, the 10th was below the 4th. I was going out 7th Street. This is long before they had automatic door closers at a fire station. Fire Station 11 at 7th and Bonnie Bray had a run. They all left. The doors were wide open. And I saw a woman who ran into the fire station. No one was there, so I stopped. I started talking. I'm not Spanish speaking. I picked up the phone, got a Spanish speaking. She worked in a beauty salon. She ran to the fire station to tell the fire department there's a fire at her home up on Beverly and Union. So the connection is not, to call 911. It was to run to the fire station. The fire station was gone, but the doors were open, so I picked up the phone and called the dispatch, OCD.
You should have just jumped in a truck and...
Well, they were all gone. They got them all. There's no keys in fire trucks there. So you don't need keys, but they were all gone. Anyway, there's so much to do in training on that I just think it's the time to regroup a little. And also, I think, and I know the months go by so fast, but growing up in Los Angeles, Commander, you grew up in Los Angeles? Yeah, remember was it the first Friday of the month or the last Friday of the month when they had air raid sirens? I think we almost have to have a first Friday of the month remembrance of events, because it is going to come. It is going to come, and it's a long time for many people, now to experience this. Andrea, do you remember the 94 earthquake?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Okay. Were you in school there?
I was my last year in high school.
High school, yeah, and they have fax too. And a lot of times they have to relocate. You know, when LA High went down in 1971, all LA went to Fairfax, and all campuses had to merge. So there's all kinds of challenges. And the district, which Unify is part of this, right?
Yes, sir.
In some of it, they've had cuts, you know, in some ways. So we should look at those other service cuts all the way around, see how it works. We'll be back in touch. Committee, you have anything you want to add? Okay. So this is a very good report. They were timely, and we will call you again and schedule something and try to get a bunch of questions beforehand so you can have the answers.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Mr. Clerk?
For the record, this item is noted and filed.
Yeah, we'll schedule in council, but we'll let you know when. So there's no other matters before us?
That's all of our...
Thank you very much, Mr. Weston, Madam City Attorney, Madam CLA, and Madam Deputy, Mr. Deputy, excuse me.
I forgot about those.